Now then, where was I? The children that were scattered about the floor of the common room looked attentively at the old man, waiting for a tale of faraway lands and heroic exploits. Miss Turnbuckle, are you listening? Oh, I am. Waterdeep. You were at Waterdeep. I suppose we were at the beginning then. The Underdark, the Grove, the sea, the palace, and the gutter, they all converged right there.
Have you ever seen so many different kinds of people in such a big place? How hard can it be to find somebody that knows where Tailwind is?
You're a miracle, boy.
I shake my head and quietly to myself say, there's no such thing as miracles. And I start walking up the surface.
I'll tell you what. I'll give you a running start. I'll count to 30. 1, 2.
30, and then I'm gonna run at him and attack him.
Fair's fair. You told me your history. I was born on that boat. Huh? That ship that your friend is dissecting.
I absolutely hate how chipper you always are.
And it'd be a good look on you, though.
If it's a riddle, I want to solve it. If it's a lock, I want to open it.
How do I make this quick? I'm a holy woman, and I'm looking for things that were taken from me and my people.
Oh. Say it, Mike! Say it again!
It's mine and Fabienne's birthday this week, on Thursday.
That means everybody has to leave nice comments about them.
I started.
Yeah, everybody leave nice
what you were
comments to
doing.
Fabienne and not me.
You have to be extra nice to Mike
Extra
and Fabienne
kind.
this video.
So, like, extra nice, just before the point where it gets a little uncomfortable how nice everyone in chat's being.
Wait, why?
Be nice to the warlock.
Your
he's
B-days.
fragile. Yeah, it's our birthday on Thursday.
Yeah, it's our
Okay.
birthday.
Okay, before we start, hello everyone.
Hi.
Hey.
We are now fully released on episode 1, and that's like so incredibly good. We've worked so hard and done such a great job. I have a present for everyone because of this. I found an
Get
artist
out.
on Twitter who does art commissions, but they do art commissions for they have like a fun niche that I adore, and I think that it fit really well with us. And I'm so proud of everyone for doing all of the so much work and finally being able to release it. Can I get screen sharing on, whoever the host is?
Yeah, I can make it happen. Hold on.
That's
here.
a Nox.
Yeah, hold on here. I gotta go to
Also,
participants.
episode 1 on YouTube just hit 11,000 views.
11,000?
Yeah, it's
Oh
huge.
my
Pretty proud.
lord!
Yeah.
By the way, I did sit down and I swallowed my weird Adam Driver fear of my own face and voice, and
Yeah.
and it's gorgeous. It's incredible work, Momo.
Mhm.
Like, good job, everybody.
Yeah,
Holy
absolutely.
So everyone can see my whole screen, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got an art commission of the team, but it is the disaster puppets.
Oh my god!
Where everyone is a puppet.
Oh
is
my
a Muppet.
god!
Because I thought it was stupid.
Nox! Oh my god!
Oh my god!
Nox is the one that's getting me right now.
I know! It's Nox! That's so good.
Nox, you don't understand how deep dived I had to go into your Facebook to get non-cosplay pictures of you.
Wait, who did this?
The artist is one second.
You know, I don't even
At the
care.
bottom there, like soda something.
Drop their info all up in the social media.
Sad
funny.
Wastelander, they're called.
So funny.
They're so incredibly good. But
Oh yeah, I'm sharing that for sure. That's amazing.
I just want to talk about Calder and Elerie right now. Though. Actually, just everybody. I'm just going to talk about everybody. This is perfect.
Hawke's
my
little
God.
scream, I think, is my favorite shit.
I look like Miss Piggy, like about to do Muppet karate.
Straight up, Doddle kind of looks like the old man in Simpsons.
Why does Saray look so scared?
The wrinkly
Saray looks
raisin man.
terrified.
And Saray is like, "What the fuck is happening?"
Yeah, that's what I feel like.
I'm the only one that's chill right now.
You can like hear our Muppet voices. You know what I mean? Like I can hear Hawke going like.
June looks like she knows she's better than everyone. That's messed up.
let me jump in here for just a minute. I want to ask a couple of questions, if you don't mind. I want to bring us in because we're pretty close. I just need to make, because again, I'm juggling so many knives since we're kind of split up a little bit, and I want to make sure everybody gets a little bit of something. So when we last left the outside crew, the crew that is not within the core, I believe, Calder, we had left you with Filthy Meg. Is that right? Or did we have you already back in the street?
I think he had not gone anywhere else yet.
No. That's perfect. June, you were in a fist fight with a group of thugs.
She just got punched.
In it's a section of Zentarum mercenaries, and you just got hit in the face. So
I don't think it struck.
No, it didn't strike.
I was like, hold on now.
But the intent was to hit you in the face. Elerie was committing capital murder in an alleyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, let's but we could like redefine murder.
No. You don't get to have that description and then redefine. No.
Own it, Kaza. That it was incredible.
I want to continue the vibe of panic response and shoot from the hip.
To continue it.
And then the core group was still back at the Golden Owl.
Mm-hmm.
We
just ended with we went to bed and we're gonna get the job.
The session ended with Fiddle Scratch being like, "Oh, I'm gonna hook you up with my bud, Bright Gleam." I can't.
Bright
talk
Gleam. Yeah, no, it's okay. You don't need to talk. It's fine. D&D doesn't require it.
My coffee is here. My picnic.
Mm-hmm. Well, perfect timing. Let's one last restroom break. Everybody, whatever you got to do, water, get it now. And then when Az gets back,
pardonnez-moi.
Yeah, we'll pretty much be ready. Let me get some music. Let's all take a moment and bring ourselves back to where we began. We've been telling this story now for a few weeks, and we have pulled all the threads that started this tale out of our early sessions. And we've had a lot of successes, and we've told some new elements of this that haven't been revealed to even us. So there's a lot to keep track of, and I'm fully aware of that. And I appreciate your focus and your attention. If anyone has any questions or needs to stop for a moment so that we can gather back to reevaluate where we're at, don't hesitate. I'm absolutely willing to retrace our steps to make sure that we get all of this right. That said, what is right is what happens. So don't feel obligated to tie yourself down to something that you think needs to happen. This is occurring as we play it, and I want all of you to explore these characters. As far as I'm concerned, there's nothing that you could do that wouldn't fit the tale, given your understanding of the characters. Some of you have more consequential and complicated elements that you're working through. I know that we have a lot of characters that are scattered, working alone at the moment, and I appreciate your patience. At the same time, all of this is going to weave back into a single tale, so I hope that you're enjoying the ride regardless.
I have a question.
Yes.
Nox, are you having a good time?
I'm having a great time.
Okay, just making sure.
I have been blown away by all the creativity that you've put into your characters, and have been really happy to explore this story with all of you. So I am having a wonderful time. All the work that we've put into it, I think, is paying off, and I think it's well worth it. We're getting there, and this story's just started, but I can see the future. I know you cannot exactly, but I'm excited to see where this goes. So I don't want to keep talking about what we're doing. I want to talk about what your characters are doing. So let's just take a moment, focus in on the music, and just bring ourselves into a meditative moment before we start. I'll give us about 60 seconds, and then I'll begin. There is a coldness that washes over your body, a chill that you cannot escape. You're shivering, coated in sweat. Your teeth chatter. The myriad of cuts and slashes that have become a network of pain across your body burn as the grime and the dirt of this dark place have infused themselves into your very blood. Your head reels as your eyes open, and then they flutter close again as a silhouette stands over you, looming there in the dark, tall, thin, malicious. And you lose consciousness. You're not sure for how long, but when you open your eyes again, the silhouette is no longer there. And you hear the muffled sounds of crying somewhere in the caverns beyond. Hawke, you sit up, pushing yourself off the ground, taking every ounce of strength that you have remaining here in the Underdark to pry yourself off of the ground. It is perhaps the most difficult battle of your entire life. You are young, but you have suffered these past months more than you ever could imagine possible. It is now your firm belief that no one is intended to suffer this way and remain sane. But here you are. You have survived. And you have pried yourself up off the ground, despite every ache and tinge within your body that tells you to give up, to let go and to embrace death, and to leave your bones here within this cavern for all of time, forgotten and lost. But something, and you aren't able to truly express it in your mind, something is pulling you forward. The vestments of Lathander are tattered upon your body. Your armor is shattered. Your breastplate cracked. Standing in the corridor to your right is Gwarth, staring down at you. Your former mentor, hideously deformed by the fire, stares at you and then is gone, disappearing right before your eyes. And you blink, thinking that perhaps you have imagined it, but there is something in the dank air here. Smell of the oil that he uses upon his blade. It lingers. You stumble forward, grasping onto the wall to support yourself. You wish that you could find your way out, but as you move down the dank corridor, as the water drips from the ceiling and strange, faintly glowing fungi scattered across the floor cast a strange magenta purplish hue across your face, you forget who you are for the briefest of moments. You forget everything that has happened to you. And then it all comes crashing back like waves rocking across the shore in a storm. Your trial here in the Underdark is overwhelming. Dragging those white and gold vestments across the floor, you pull them from your body. Your breeches and the shattered bits of your armor are all that remain. Your bare chest is now exposed. A network of blood and suffering. Your flesh is beginning to look like your spirit. And as you move forward, As you stumble through these corridors, you find yourself in an open chamber. You don't know how long you've been walking. Those waves of memory have confused you to the point of being utterly lost here in the dark. Were they memories? Was it a dream? As your eyes linger forward, Hawke, you see a sword in the center of this enormous cavern. There is no light here at all. It is dark, and even those strange fungus and crystals do not shed light here. But that sword is so dark that against the shadow, you can see it. Darker than shadow. Deeper than night. The blade, it is there on the ground. In a thin puddle, water dripping around it. A skeletal form strewn out next to it. Rusted, decayed armor. A bony, empty glare directly at you. What do you do?
I stumble forward, breathing heavily. I don't have a weapon, do I?
You do not have a weapon. It has been lost to you.
Something, Tom Lord, protect me. I'm going to reach out, and I'm going to inspect the skeleton first. See if there's anything to identify it at all.
It must have been here for 100 years. The armor is rotten. The bones are picked clean. There are strange mosses that have grown themselves, fusing the bone and the armor with the stone itself. Its grasp is still firm upon the sword, and the sword looks untouched. Next to it is a sheath, and both are beautiful. It is dark here, but yet, Hawke, your eyes adjust, given your nature, the nature that you and your sister carry. You are able to see, and there is something magnificent in the darkness of this blade. In its dark form. Its hilt forms that of an outstretched raven. The blade itself, perfect, unblemished, and yet the last individual to bear it, it seems, has not been so lucky. Your blood is dripping here, and it mingles with that pool of water as you stand over it, and the blood merges with the blade. You do not feel as if you're alone again, but it is not Gwarth that stands before you. It's something else. Another silhouette, different than the first. Stepping forth from the dark corners of this place, it seems as if 1,000 small shadow birds have joined together to form the silhouette of a woman standing before you in flowing gowns and a veil. You cannot see her face, but you feel her eyes upon you. Beautiful lost thing. What do you seek?
I want to live. And I'll kill them all. Every single one of them, I'll kill them.
Is this world so worth your vengeance?
I have nothing left but my hate for them. Every single one of them will die. Fuck my oaths.
You know my name. You know who I am. I've always been with you. Do you remember the wall there in Baldur's Gate? Do you remember my messenger? Upon the day of your confirmation into the Church of Lathander.
You were the Raven that day.
I am the Queen of Ravens. I am the Queen of Shadow. I can take your pain. I can make you strong. If you accept me, and me alone. Light is impermanent, weak. The darkness is forever.
If the light's willing to abandon me, I'll take the shadow.
Tell me your name.
I am Sir
Tell me your name.
I'm a Sir Hawke. And that's what I'll be. I'm Hawke. I'm your Hawke.
Take the blade.
I rip off my vestments, throw them on the ground, and I pick up the weapon.
Hawke, as you grab the weapon, everything goes dark. And you scream as all of the living pain of your life is pulled from you, and flashes of memory begin stacking themselves before you. Your entire life rattling out like the bones of the lost adventurer holding the sword. You hear Kara crying. You hear your sister. For a moment you feel her hand upon your shoulder, and then you see her outside of your body as if you were looking down, standing there holding the shredded vestments that you have thrown aside. And when she looks up, her face is rage. Elsewhere, there is an almost musical clinking of bottles. Calder, your boot is lying about 3 meters away from you. Your eyes work themselves open, and in your hand is another empty bottle. You're underneath the docks, and there are campfires that are scattered out here. A network of the downtrodden that live within the dock ward of Waterdeep. All of the individuals here have spent their lives gathering what coppers they could to survive. Some are sailors that have let themselves become more of a liability than a commodity. Some have never sailed, but simply knew that here in the dock ward, underneath these long planks that tether all of these magnificent galleon ships here to this city of Waterdeep, they know that here they can find solitude, to either drown their sorrows or be forgotten by the world above. As you wake, your head feels as if it were sat inside of a vice and forcibly hit with a hammer multiple times. Your hair is tousled, and you feel a small splash of morning sunlight upon your face, and those scars upon your cheek itch and very slightly burn. For the briefest of moments, you hear the of the captain. Balthazar Gelt aside. You're awake. Your dreams are forgotten, perhaps thankfully. And the whiskey that you imbued last night with Filthy Meg has clearly brought you to the point of passing out. Off in the distance, you see a splash of water as you see Meg, who has already started a cook fire for you and her, and above a spit is what looks like a series of dangling sausages that are cooking over the fire. There is a iron pot underneath there, and You apparently have been lying in a small pile of trash. What would you like to do?
He looks around the small pile of trash and he says, yeah, that seems about right. And he gets up and he goes over to Filthy Meg. He's like, this is quite a setup.
It ain't much, but we do what we can, yeah? You're looking chipper as always.
Oh, well, it's good to try not to be too preoccupied with anything. It lets you be in the moment.
Well, I've got to say, it's been a little while since we've had company in these areas that decided to do more than just ring us for information and disappear. My esteemed colleagues and I are always welcome to have you here with us. Very thankful for the presence.
He genuinely doesn't know what to say about that. Like, thankful for my presence? All right. I'm sorry.
We take what we can get. There's food there if you want some.
Just for free?
Oh, Squid, come on. You know who you're dealing with. Nothing's for free, but your services will be put to good use. And if flattery isn't working, I can cut directly to the jib of it all. We're going to need you to run a few errands. Nothing spectacular, but since you can't exactly go gallivanting around the city now that you've retrieved the ring, it might be best for you to be kept busy and down here as much as possible, eh?
Okay. And much more comfortable now that it's not free food. He just takes the sausage and starts to eat it. Yeah, that sounds right.
So yeah, you grab a sausage and you begin eating. It's actually very good. She has managed to cook up a fairly decent breakfast. There's no pomp and circumstance to it. It's very straightforward. However, while you're eating, Meg is there in the water and is kind of moving about. You watch as she swims across this dock and is handing out coin and small scrolls to individuals that are walking along. And there's a good number of individuals that come down from the dock above. And it's curious to you because these individuals don't seem like they belong here. There are some individuals that show up that seem rather noble and have very clean garb upon themselves. You hear the clattering of horses and carriages above, and it seems as if whatever Meg is working at, she has a number of operatives that stretch all across Waterdeep, not just here in the dock ward. Since she very clearly has you in a position of employment, you don't seem to be shielded against much of these operations. You feel that she's relaxed a little bit and is a little less guarded around you, treating you as if you truly are working for her. However, while you're eating, you're finishing this meal, and Meg is passing out all of these items to these strangers that are walking through. There is a series of splashes off on the horizon, and you see other merfolk start to pull themselves from the water, and they don't enter under the dock, but he
starts to sweat.
Yeah, well, you should, because these merfolk don't look anything like Filthy Meg. They are armored, and they are all carrying these well-made tridents, and they look very official. Whatever it is, they seem to be part of some sort of unit, and there are perhaps 5 of them. They seem to encompass all genders, and they're like Meg, there is a myriad of colors that they represent. There are merfolk with tails that kind of stretch the gamut of the cooler colors of the color scheme. There are blues and purples and greens, and it all kind of melts together. And they're through the armor, you can see that their skin tones are just as varied. And as they swim there, they seem to be waiting. Sure enough, Meg seems to notice this and makes her way over to the group. And though you cannot hear, you can certainly see that there is some sort of argument that's happening. Go ahead and tell me what you would like to do, Calder. If you would like to try to listen in, I could have you make a roll.
Yeah, he'll try to listen in, but I imagine he's a bit stunned. Sailors seeing a whole bunch of armored mermaids. It's not going to be his favorite thing to learn about. This isn't his favorite new thing.
Right. So a lot of this is going to be determined by what you can read from their facial expressions. So I'd like for you to make an insight check, please, for me.
Oh joy, that's an 8.
Okay, well, an 8 is not great.
Not a very astute man.
Yeah, so your head is still ringing, and as you're kind of watching this all happen, you really can't hear much either. You do hear a few words. Clearly, there is an argument that is referring to something dealing with the city watch, and you did very clearly hear the phrase, "Guarding the Dark Ward." And that's all that you really get out of it, as the conversation seems to end abruptly. Meg swims back, turns away, and you see the others slowly go. They do kind of tread water there for a moment and kind of raise themselves up in this intimidating fashion where they almost form like a complete wall of this beautiful, you're not sure what type of metal it is, but it has this almost pearlescent quality to it where the colors shift in the light. And so as they kind of rear themselves up out of the water, they bring you to the point where you feel like these are well-trained warriors, and you certainly wouldn't want to fight them, especially if you were in the water. But they turn, and then they all leap into the sea. Their tails fly up in unison, and they disappear. And Meg swims back over to you.
He just takes a bite of sausage and says, nodding to the other merfolk, "I'm really glad I've managed not to piss you off."
Yeah, well, I wish everyone could say that. I've got more than a few enemies here in Waterdeep. Comes with the territory, though. If you do what I do, sooner or later, everyone becomes aware of your business. Especially when your business is other people's business.
Oh, it looks like you've got some pretty interesting friends, too. I think I saw a couple neck frills on those customers.
If you think that fancy frocks and pretty carriages make people less desperate for what I have to offer, you're quite wrong. Gold is one thing. Information, that's the real trade of Waterdeep. Look, Swig, you're new, so I'm going to be really slow about working you into the crew here. But the first thing that I want you to know is that if you choose to stab me in the back, do not think that because I don't have human legs, I will not find you and slit your throat. We are of an accord, yeah?
Crystal clear. Very, very much understood. Yes, ma'am. He just takes another bite of sausage, nervous.
I like you. I don't want to mar your pretty face any further than it already is.
I appreciate that. I've only got one good side left.
Better than most around here. You're doing all right. And so the two of you sit and eat sausages and eggs as the fire kind of flickers between the two of you. There's a weak mulled wine that she offers you, and the two of you kind of like wring out your hangovers, because you're starting to notice too that she's none too sharp at the moment either. There's a little bit of fuzz in her eyes, and it seems as if she was drinking rather hard with you last night as well. So with that, we leave the dock ward, and we're going to move forward just a little bit into another place, another fire, one that's crackling in the ruined building elsewhere in the dock ward. June, what's your armor class?
None of your business.
Wow. Wow. Right.
It's 14. It's 14.
It's still nighttime, and the storm outside is rolling. Ever since you've entered into Waterdeep, it seems as if the weather has always been difficult. There are storm clouds, and it seems to be the rainy season. You're unfamiliar with this particular region, so it's not such a surprise to you that this sort of thing would happen around high harvest. However, that's not your concern. The dripping of the ceiling here, the old wet boards of this building, or even the horribly prepared fire that's just some distance off. If it wasn't so wet, you would be worried that this entire structure might catch on fire. But the mercenaries of the Zentarum don't seem to have the same concerns. As the fist swings towards you, you step aside, and it passes by you. The twins that led you here have disappeared. You're uncertain as to the exact details of what these rogues were in the middle of, but one of them was about to die. You were able to heal the wounds and save that individual who now is being ferried off by your two new friends. Friends, of course, is a word that I'm using very loosely in this context.
Yeah.
But as they took their wounded companion deeper into this, what seems to be encampment that these individuals have created here within this abandoned building, you were left behind and told not to move and to be very careful. Sadly enough, your hope of being unnoticed was not granted, and the individuals at the fire made their way over to you, asked a few very pointed questions, and when they didn't get the answer that they wanted, began to become very aggressive. You have before you a number of individuals. There is a very large woman who is heavily muscled and tattooed. She has a series of weapons that are strapped upon her, one of which being a very large battle axe. She has her hair braided into a mohawk, and it is a crest across her head. The sides are shaved, and there are tribal markings. Her golden skin is glistening with sweat and rainwater as she glowers kind of down at you with these piercing green eyes. Next to that individual is a cloaked figure that you cannot see the face of, a figure who is lurking a bit more in the shadows, not directly confronting you. And while that is happening, the individual who has thrown a punch at you is a very rough-looking man who has a network of scars across his face and a shaved head with a single braid across the back of it. His body and his form and his patchwork armor all give him the look of a pit fighter, someone who is used to gladiatorial combat. Certainly the types of armor that you're seeing here would lend to support that thought. His name is Mert Handlebrake. He has introduced himself to you before throwing a punch at you. The individual behind him, the woman, has yet to tell you her name, and the cloaked individual is also being very quiet, but they do not seem to be disturbed by the aggression that Mert has expressed to you. You move to the side, and as you do, the fist retracts itself, and Mert looks to you and smiles, and you can see a network of gold and silver teeth next to whatever remaining teeth he has within his skull. All right. Well, you can dodge a punch. That's good. Can you dodge this? A kick is thrown at you as Mert spins and prepares to try to catch you in the ribs. Breaking past your AC, June, it does connect.
Darn it.
And yeah, so you take 6 points of non-lethal damage, and you are thrown to the ground. As you kind of cough, immediately the air is sucked out of your body, and you hit the ground hard. You hear laughter from Mert. The barbarian, she doesn't say anything, but you hear some sort of murmuring and titters from the fire where other individuals are watching this exchange. What would you like to do, June?
Let's see if this works this time. June's gonna thorn whip at the guy's feet. Not at him, but just like at his feet. So I mean...
Now, are you trying to ensnare him or are you trying to strike him?
Well, I was trying to ensnare him, but if I would have striked, he would have... It was a crit, so...
Oh no, you get that crit, my friend. That is a natural 20.
I'm not trying to
there we go.
Kill people and then have them murder me.
Roll again to see if you get 2 natural 20s, and something miraculous will happen if you make that number. So that's not a natural 20.
Oh.
However, the increased damage and everything else that is tied into it, you do 11 points of damage. You wrap your whip around his ankles, do a massive amount of damage, as you can see, just like it is perfectly placed as you pull him off his feet. And he lands to the ground with a thud, is now prone, and you still have his ankles entwined in your whip. The laughing stops, June.
June, first of all, picks herself off the ground. And while he's still caught, she's like, what exactly are you doing?
As he's on the ground and prone, he's going to try to try to grab you and pull you down. I need you to make either an athletics or an acrobatics of your choice. He does grab you and pull you down to the ground. And he says, what I'm trying to do is find out if you're any good at fighting. And you see a fist kind of like come at you again. As he hooks on the ground, prone. He does have a disadvantage on this as well. He doesn't hit you. His fist kind of hits the wood next to you, and it actually breaks through the wood, the soggy wood, and it goes up to his elbow as he breaks through, and he kind of like snarls at you.
Can I punch him then?
Absolutely.
Okay.
What you realize in this moment, June, is that no one else is attacking you. Everyone is slowly forming a circle around you and Mert.
Yeah.
As the two of you are fighting this out in the middle of this soggy, decayed, skeletal building.
They're analyzing me, I can tell. I'm gonna, while he's like punched into the freaking ground, I'm actually just gonna try to untie myself from him and
so you swing at him and you try to connect with his jaw, and he pulls his hand. Just you hear the breaking of wood, and it's covered in splinters and like jagged bits of wood, but he catches your fist in his hand and has it held in front of him, just about an inch away from his face. He does this, and then he kind of pushes your hand away and smiles real broadly at you with his metallic grin as he kind of pulls himself up. The two of you now are standing. Your whip has released itself, and you both are kind of like circling each other in this place. And you can see that other individuals from the fire have come around you now. And there are probably 13 of these mercenaries that are in the middle of this fight, watching. None of them interfere. None of them lift a hand to help either you or Mert.
Yeah. All right, well.
All right, are you pretty enough? And you can fight enough. But the question is, are you smart enough to see this coming? And he kicks at you again, having tried to throw you off balance. And he misses.
Yeah, I was going to say, I want to kick him back, jerk.
Yeah, no, he swings at you. His foot, it comes inches from your face, and you just take 2 steps back. And it was a pretty sloppy move on his part.
As he's like misses me, can I try to catch that foot?
Yeah, you can try to. If you'd like to make that your action, you can easily use your acrobatic skill.
Okay, come on. 16.
You catch his foot.
Oh jeez.
Tell me what you want to do. Yeah, you have his foot.
I want to freaking do that cool thing they do in the movies where they like take your foot and they like flip it up and then you fall back on your back.
Okay, so you're tossing him back down to the ground.
Yeah.
To do that, I need you to make an athletics check against his athletics check.
Dude, are you serious?
Yeah, you got 22 on that roll, and so he flips and hits the ground hard. And there's like this cracking noise for a moment.
Imagine she like did it with a cool thing where like her hands behind her back, she just flips you.
Yeah, so he looks completely surprised, right? And like he coughs out a little blood as this kind of like he hits the ground, and then he starts to pry himself up off the ground, and you can see that he has every intent of continuing this fight. But then there's a cracking noise, and you realize that you've thrown him on that same section of wood that his arm went through, and he breaks through the floor.
No. Can I cast it's gonna hurt him, but I want to try to catch him with Thorn Whip.
Okay, so go ahead and try to strike him with Thorn Whip to prevent him from falling through the floor.
Oh God, 18.
You hit, and so you wrap the Thorn Whip around his torso, and it just flashes out like a lightning strike, and he's hanging there. And then he looks up at you, and he nods, and he kind of like reaches up a hand as you're holding on to him, and like I'm not gonna lie, this guy's heavy. You've got both hands on the end of your whip, and you're holding him. And you can see below in the darkness on the first floor of this building, there's nothing but jagged bits of stone and wood. If he were to fall 20 feet onto that, it might kill him. No. Immediately, you feel other people behind you grabbing onto your Thorn Whip, and you see blood in their hands, but they're pulling it up. And so people come and help you. And behind you, just the weight of these mercenaries as they pull this man back out of this hole.
Oh my God, are you... Stop this nonsense. You almost died.
No. It ain't nonsense, all right? It ain't nonsense at all. You did good. And I'm impressed. And I'll vouch for you. I handle break. Mercenary for the Zentarum. Third ring. Second structure. Vouch for... Love, I didn't get your name.
Juniper Creed.
Juniper Creed. Anyone harms a hair on Juniper Creed's head, and they answer to me.
Wow, June is... quite shook. She is shookest. Thank you.
Wiping blood off his face, spitting, as he's very crass. You don't strike me as a fighter, but I've been wrong before. Seems I was wrong again. Where'd you learn to do that?
I trained a lot with my people. I was trained to be a protector. But where I'm from isn't really that important right now, so.
No. A lot of us have a similar story, We don't care where we came from, we just know what we do. Well, and if you're here and you need help, you don't have nowhere to go, you can do worse.
That's true. I care where I came from. It's more of just, there's not much to go back to, so.
No, enough said. You need not tell me your whole story. I don't wish to pry. But here in the Zentarum, we need mercenary warriors like yourself. The coin's good. No one bothers you much, and no one tells you what to do. If you want to take a few things here and there, you want to slit a few throats because someone made you angry, you won't get any of that nonsense that the Code Legal tries to shackle you down with within this city. You can be what you are. Hard as a rock.
I don't want to break our new bonding, but I don't think really cracking necks and slitting them is my game. I'm kind of a holy woman.
And he stops laughing after he realizes you're not laughing with him. Come again? We'll come back to you. Elerie, where do you go? You're wandering the rainy streets, and the blood has been washed from you.
It's one of those calculating the next move, kind of like I think she's really flying by her pants right now. So all right. So I think I think the next step for her is to try and make it right with the grasping eye.
That makes sense. You know that someone knows. You don't know exactly who Teetlebom Moosenik told about your interactions with the officials of Waterdeep. They were clearly agents of the Masked Lords, and unfortunately, because of your honesty to an individual that you considered a friend, perhaps an acquaintance. But in trusting Teetlebom Moosenik, it seems that you've been compromised. And because of that precarious situation that you find yourself in, it's hard for you now to work in a way that will ensure your own safety. You know that there have been individuals following you, and Teetlebom was clearly very badly wounded before you found him and unburdened him of his secrets. Now that you wander the streets and Teetlebom is a corpse lying in an alley in what seems to be a horrible robbery gone wrong, you are soaked to the bone, but as we've described before, your half-elven blood, being that of a sea elf, is actually quite comfortable in this weather. It's preferable, in fact, to a sunny day. So while the storms rage within Waterdeep this night and you wander the streets, if nothing else, the comfort of the rain and the proximity of the sea and the smell of salt in the air do bring you a great amount of comfort. Do you return to the warehouse that you've worked at in the past, where you know you have some contact or some way to trace the grasping eye? Or do you make your way into those dangerous areas, those taverns that are known to hold this very secretive gang?
So it's a problem of kicking in the door. For me, like, do I go in there and like go to the tavern and like say like, hey, I'm here, are you looking for me? You know, or do I go to work? I feel like I've really blown off work a lot. I think Elerie is going to want to go to the source of this and go to the taverns and seek these people out, because for her, she wants to get ahead of it, and if she continues to pretend like it's not a thing, I fear that they'll get ahead of her. So see if we can talk our way out of this one.
So you're moving through the dock ward, and you have been here long enough to know that there are certain areas that are controlled by the different gangs within the city of Waterdeep. And even though the wards of each of these portions of the city have within them smaller sections that are controlled by various groups and underworld factions, all the way up to the northernmost wards and the castle ward, you know that there are underworld elements everywhere. It just depends on how they sheathe themselves. Some are very noble and clean and run themselves within the finest establishments that coin can buy. Others are dark and mysterious entities that operate in the dirtiest, most downtrodden sections of town. Both are able to operate within this wider network. And Waterdeep itself as a city is deeply saturated with those who do not work within the code legal, within the laws that have been set by the individuals known as the Masked Lords. The Masked Lords are the de facto rulers of this city, and it is an endless task that requires secrecy to protect not only those who rule this place, but their family and loved ones. It is why they wear masks, to protect their identity. There are open lords, individuals who speak for the Masked Lords, who are more face-fronting and willing to put themselves into positions of great danger. But given the nature of magic in the realms, it becomes very hard to keep secrets, and it is just as true for the filthy little taverns here as it is for the grand palaces that are underneath the shadow of Mount Waterdeep. Everyone has secrets here. You stumble into a ramshackle shed. You think you're in the right place, although the tavern sign outside is the only thing that really denotes this as anything other than a fishing shed. Outside of it are buckets and buckets of fish heads that are rotting with clouds of flies that obscure the windows and the doorway as they buzz in these horrid clouds in front of this establishment. And that tavern sign swings and one of the chains has broken and it's barely tethered to the pole that juts out from above the doorway. Painted upon it is a fish that has been cut in half, and there is a anchor painted behind it. It's the sigil that you were told to find, and when you walk into this shed, it looks little more than a fisherman's hole. There are just a couple of sparse tables with very low-burning candles. The flicker of light dances across the wood of this place, and there is a table across one side that has been raised up on a number of barrels to make a makeshift bar. Behind the bar, you see an individual who is standing there, whispering to one of the customers. The customer seems to be a ragged old woman who has long gray hair, and one of her eyes has been replaced with what looks like a bright green marble. And immediately she looks to you. The individual behind the bar turns to look at you as well. And the individual behind the bar has a strange frog-like appearance. And they're humanoid, but they also have this strange shape about them with these large blinking eyes and this large gullet that kind of waddles beneath them. And as they look to you, they blink as if they are uncertain, as if you are meant to be here. Anyone else in the bar quiets down. There's only a handful of souls here. And there is no music, only the quiet, sullen drinking of some very sad people. How may I help you?
Elerie just leans in and says something stiff and goes to sit down.
Are you in the right place? You don't look like our normal clientele.
You gonna let me buy a drink or what?
I'm simply making sure you want to be here. And the strange barkeep turns and pours you a glass of clear alcohol. It is in a fairly large wooden cup and just kind of slams it down in front of you. 5 copper.
Elerie just reaches in her pocket and pays up, takes the drink, and throws it back as hard as possible.
You throw it back. Okay, so I need you to make a Constitution saving throw.
We might be losing. Sorry to interrupt. We might be losing Mike. He had an internet.
Okay, so let's stop right here for a moment. I'm not going to stop recording.
Yeah.
But we
May I use the
definitely
restroom?
went.
Oh,
Yeah,
never
it's
mind.
a great time for a restroom break. There's Mike.
I am so sorry about
It's
that.
okay.
It's cool.
If anybody needs to use the restroom or get a drink or something, now's the time to do it. We got an extra moment.
Also, no, Matt, she's a good person.
Joined a gang.
Okay, what gang?
Take
I don't
thrills and
remember.
murder.
Joined a prison gang.
I don't remember any gang. I don't quite.
No, he's the man you saved is a real fine, upstanding citizen who immediately encouraged you to slit some throats.
Yeah.
That's one does.
just a kind, gentle.
Yeah, there's nothing going on there.
Can we talk about this innkeeper that Elerie just ordered a shot from, who's like, I'm not sure you're supposed to be here. It's like, bitch,
Yeah.
I just killed a man in the street like 2 seconds ago.
She
Give me
is
my fucking
so
drink.
clean.
Just gonna say, blood comes out of wool really easily.
I'm your Hawke. Take the blade. I rip off my vestments, throw them on the ground, and I pick up the weapon.
Hawke, as you grab the weapon, everything goes dark. And you scream.